welcome back. This is my reading wrap up for this week. There's a lot of like reading blogs and stuff that I've noticed that people post, but I guess I just didn't want to make a video of me reading. Didn't know that it would be all that exciting, but you know what? That's okay. I'll just kind of say what I've read this week and what I hope to plan to read next week for the end of the up toward the end of January. So, first off, cookies, right? Because what goes better with reading than cookies? Because cookbooks are books too, and they need our love. This week I read... Okay, so this week I finished 3 books. The first one is The Pines by Blake Crouch. This is the first book in the Wayward Pines series. It's about a man who wakes up in this utopian town and finds out that things aren't exactly what they seem. It certainly took a twist that I didn't think it would, and I enjoyed it. I'll plan to continue the series, although not this month. The second book I finished was called The Dreaming Void. This is by Peter F. Hamilton. Now apparently there is a duology that comes before this trilogy, and of course I didn't know that when I picked it up, so I started it like right in the middle, but it is like 1500 years after the first duology, so it still made sense. But I read some of the comments on it, and some of the characters are the same, because this is the future and people can live forever, you know, like they're supposed to. I thought the best parts of this book were the world building, or the world's building, because there was more than one world. There were aliens. There's this void, and it's at the center of the galaxy. Anything that gets too close to it dies, so you can't get through it. But there's someone who is dreaming about what life is like on the other side of the void. It starts a religious following, and they're going to go into the void to be with the people on the other side. I thought the world building was the best. The characters, kind of so-so. Especially the female characters were pretty, cringy. But I did enjoy it. The plot was, you know, kind of slow, but I mean, you knew what it was, but it was a little bit slow. But then it's part of a trilogy, so I wouldn't expect it to be all wrapped up in the first book. And then the last book that I finished was called Kings of Paradise. It's by Richard Nell. This was a fantasy. It was kind of like a dual perspective. You're following like two people. The first one is a prince, and he's fallen in love with this girl. His father has forbade him to be with this girl and love this girl, and he says, I don't care, I'm gonna love her anyway. So his dad ships him off to get rid of him until after the girl's married. Doesn't quite go that well. The other person that you follow is he was this child who was born deformed. He is shunned by everyone but his mother. The community ends up killing his family, his father, his mother, and kind of everybody that he ever cared about, so he is out for revenge. And he basically becomes a monster. I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. I'll probably be reading the second book in the series next month, hopefully. Okay, so that's what I read last week, or I finished up this week. The next week, in the last week of January, there's some books that I'm hoping to finish and get through before the end of the month. So the first book I'm going to finish is called Angry All the Time by Robert Potter Ephred. I'm reading this book at work, so that's why I don't have it with me, and I'll be reading at work. It's pretty short. It's about anger. Imagine that. At some point, you guys will be able to tell like what I do for work based on the books that I read for work. Second book, this is Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card, and as you can see, it has a $4 mail-in rebate if you purchase Ender's Shadow. Unfortunately, it's like 20 years old, so I don't think it's valid anymore. But of course, they put it on the book, and you can't take it off! So that everyone knows what I missed out on. This is a science fiction in the future when the Earth has been attacked by aliens, and from what I understand, they've kind of beaten the aliens off. but there's still a war going on, and they have, I don't know if the children are like genetically engineered. It appears that way. This is about a boy named Ender. When he's 6, he's conscripted into the army to train to be a soldier or a commander, and he's like the smartest one there, and he beats all their games, and things are not what they seem, obviously. Third book that I'm trying to get through is called Fred and Rose, and it is by Howard Sounds, and this is a true crime about a husband and wife. Kind of, they would lure women to their house and then kill them. So, you know, happy family. You know, I don't know why I would be interested in something like this, other than it's just that bizarre. Okay. The next book that I hope to finish before the end of the month is The Legend of Crystal by Peter Watch. This is a fantasy. I don't really know a whole lot about it. It was one of those books that was on Prime Reading, so it was free to read, and I thought, hey, it's fantasy. Who knows? Hopefully it's good. So I'll be reading that. And the last one, I'm actually most of the way through it. Me and my kids are listening to the Avatar, The Last Airbender, The Rise of Kyoshi. And we're almost finished with that, so I'm sure I'll finish that before the end of the year. If you don't know what Avatar is, I don't know what to tell you. There's 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water. And they have people who can master the elements. They're called benders. And there's one person who masters all 4 elements, and that person is the Avatar. And this is the prequel to all of the movies. She is mentioned in the first show, the first cartoon, briefly. Avatar Kyoshi is an earthbender, or she was born in the Earth Kingdom, and she's and is supposed to master all 4 elements. And this is her story that takes place before the Avatar Last Airbender show. So far, I'm enjoying it. I hope my kids are enjoying it. Okay. All right. So now, that's what I'm hoping to read. I've got my cookies. I've got my book. I guess I'll go make more cookies.